welcome to Hot Chocolate Hits. I'm Benica, and today I'm going to show you how to make sugar cookies. So, in my opinion, there are a few different types of sugar cookies. They're either really crunchy, or they taste just like raw dough. And I don't like either of these sugar cookies, but today I'm going to share with you a recipe for soft, melt-in-your-mouth sugar cookies with a wonderful glaze. So let's go over the ingredients so we can get started. You're going to need 3 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, half a teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt, 2 whole eggs, 1 cup of sugar, and 1 cup of butter, to which I've added half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So that's all. It's really simple. So I'm going to start off by putting the butter into a bowl. It's softened, so that's why you can see it's a little bit melted, because I put it on top of my heater so that it would soften a little bit faster. And also, you're going to, in the second bowl, you're going to combine the dry ingredients, so the baking powder, baking soda, and salt, and just whisk it in. So what the baking powder and the baking soda do is they kind of elevate the cookie and they make it a little bit fluffy, and that's why it's so soft and delicious. Okay, set that aside. Add the cup of sugar to the butter and whisk it together until it's nice and creamy. It's already starting to look like sugar cookie dough. Okay, I'm going to add in my 2 eggs one at a time. You could do this in a separate bowl, but I don't really see the point of doing that, so just crack it in the same bowl. It's not like you're going to get eggshells unless you're really bad at cracking eggs. Okay, just whisk that in. When it starts to look nice and fluffy like this, add in your flour mixture, a little bit at a time so that it just doesn't blow up on your face. So at first I'm going to start off with a whisk, but then I'm going to switch to a spoon. And preferably or ideally it should be a wooden spoon, but all my wooden spoons smell like curry, so I'm just going to use a plastic spoon. Actually, I'll switch to that right now. It'll make my life a little bit easier. Okay, that's done. So now the messy part. Make sure your hands are clean. And just kind of get all the flour at the bottom into the dough. Don't over knead it, just until it's, come on. Okay, this dough makes enough for 60 cookies, but I'm not gonna eat 60 cookies. I mean, they're good, I could eat 60 cookies, but I'm not gonna eat 60 cookies. So I'm actually gonna take about half of it, and I'm going to wrap it in cling wrap. And I'm gonna freeze it. So that's why this recipe is so good, because you can make the dough in advance and freeze it, and it's so easy. Okay. And I'm gonna do the exact same thing with the second ball of dough. And if you're gonna bake all 60 of them, still wrap them in two pieces so that they refrigerate faster, because now you're going to refrigerate these babies for about an hour, or you could also freeze them for 15 minutes. Doesn't make a difference. But I'm gonna do it the long way, and I'm gonna refrigerate it for an hour. So I'll see you in an hour. And now the best part, or the funnest part, we're gonna roll the dough out. So I have a few cookie cutters here, which is probably the best method to do this. But if you want to make it easier, you can just slice and bake it. So I have a palm tree, a Statue of Liberty, a heart, and an oval. But I'm only going to do the heart and the oval today because it's almost Valentine's Day, and in spirit of Valentine's Day, we're going to do hearts. Okay, so just flour the surface that you're going to roll that on, and flour the top. Flatten it with your hands just so that it's easier when you roll it out with the rolling pin. You want to roll it out to a quarter inch thick. So that's just about rolled out. I'm going to take my heart, and look how easily that comes out. And just lay it onto your baking sheet. I'm going to put that here to make it easier. Okay. So I'm going to collect the scraps and just roll it back into the ball. Roll it out to 1/4 inch again, and then just keep cutting it until all the dough has been used up. And I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. So I've finished cutting out all the cookies. So your next step is to bake them in a 200 degrees Celsius or 375 degree Fahrenheit oven for about 4 to 6 minutes. I'd say about 5. You just have to check and see if the bottoms are slightly golden, and I'll show you what that looks like when they're done. So the cookies have come out of the oven and they've cooled completely. As you can see, the backs are a little bit brown. This one's a little too brown. It doesn't have to be this brown. It can be lighter if you want a softer cookie. So now let's get started on the glaze. This is my favorite part, and this is what helps make the cookie melt in your mouth. So in a bowl, I'm going to combine a tablespoon of butter mixed with about a teaspoon of vanilla. This butter is like in between melted and softened, because it doesn't matter when you're making the glaze whether it's softened or melted. So I'm just gonna get that kind of together. To this butter, I'm going to add about 2½ cups of powdered sugar and a little bit of milk. This is about 3 tablespoons of milk. You'll need about 3 tablespoons of milk, but if you want a thinner glaze, just add more. Add more of the sugar. So the glaze is nice and creamy and thick. So I'm going to divide this into thirds, and I'm only going to use a third today for the hearts. And to see what I do with the ovals, click on my how to decorate the Spider-Man video, where I'll be using the rest of the icing. And I'll be making Spider-Man cookies with these ovals. Okay. So to this icing, I'm going to add a few drops of red food coloring. Not too much, because I want it to be pink. I'm going to start off with that much and see how it looks. That is a strong red color. So if you look at the consistency of the icing, it just kind of falls off the spatula. It's fairly thin, but once you spread it on the cookies, it'll harden and it'll dry. So I'm going to take some of this pink icing, just kind of plop it on one bump and the other one. And now I'm going to get my sprinkles. And these cookies are so versatile because you can make them in any shape. You can decorate them with any color, with any icing. I've tried this with buttercream icing, with royal icing, but to me, this simple icing is my favorite because it really does give those cookies their melt in your mouth consistency. I've plated the cookies and they look absolutely delicious. If you let it sit a little bit longer, the icing will harden and you can put it on top of each other. Now I'm going to give one a taste. Look how easily they break apart. They're so soft. They just melt in your mouth. I've adapted 2 of these recipes from allrecipes.com. You can find the links below to the original recipes. However, if you go to my blog, you can find my adaptations to this recipe, and I hope you give it a try and let me know how it works out. Make it for Valentine's Day and surprise someone. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.